That's how common.
I'm going to give you about
Ambassador himself.
I've never
7
been there.
minutes. This is Matthias, and I can't say his last name
Nobody
properly.
can.
Bergara.
Yes.
But if you were really good and from Paraguay, or Uruguay, not Paraguay, Uruguay, you would roll the R's and say it correctly. But he is a phenomenal comics.
Yes.
And
Artist.
artist.
Illustrator sounds more fancy.
He's amazing.
It's amazing.
Chataway, he is an essential
Yes,
part
fair
of the
enough.
singularity.
Gotcha.
I never say comic book artist when I present myself to people.
No.
Because illustrator sounds fancier and more like people are gonna respect you a little bit more if you say I'm an illustrator.
Right.
I'm an
Instead of
artist.
I draw comics.
Yes. When people hear
But that's a very good point. Like a lot of the regular, normal people don't look at comics as a real art form.
Of course not.
And they
Why should they?
but they should, but they don't. So yeah, that's a very good point. Is like I draw art
Yeah.
is a far more
Imagine this.
elevated level than I draw comics.
Imagine trying to explain what you do to your in-laws the first time you get to know them. Like when they ask you, "What do you do?" It's not as easy to just look them in the face and say, "I draw comic books." Well,
I make comics.
It's
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, I think they would prefer to hear. I don't know. I involve
No,
bodies.
that's a very, very good point.
I tell you, they wouldn't prefer to hear that.
So I'm going to ask a question. Well, how did you get involved in the singularity, and what is it that you do with the singularity besides draw?
Yes. No, I draw 2 chapters of this story.
Okay.
We are a team of almost, I think, 15 different artists doing different parts of the book. And each of us was assigned a chapter, which is also assigned to a song, one of the tracks on the album.
Okay.
Each track in the album corresponds to a chapter in the story, and each one of these chapters was drawn by different people. In my case, I've drawn 2 of those, and they are different stories, but they are structured around a similar concept. The whole album is a conceptual album, tells a story that runs around those chapters, and I've done 2 of those chapters.
Which chapters are they? Can you tell us?
Yes, is Rocco's Basilisk.
Okay.
Each chapter has the name of the track and the automaton's heart.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
the names of the 2 chapters.
Perfect. I'm going to look it up and I'm going to
Illustrator,
listen.
Would you pair with a colorist and something?
Yes, I usually do my own colors. If I can. In this case, I was running short of time, so I did a part of the colors, and the rest was done by a colorist, a professional colorist. And but I usually prefer to do the whole process completely.
How is that different for you than approaching this? How is it different? Yeah, not doing the colors yourself this time.
Well, it's kind of tricky because I didn't do the whole colors, but I did include the instructions for how to make them. So in a sense, I kind of the end result was pretty much what I would have done by myself if I was able to.
Do you like flat them, or what part of it?
No, I do much more. I do the flat.
But when you for this project, what
Yes.
part did you do?
What part did I do?
Because you said you did some of the colors for this still, right?
Yeah. I mean, a percentage of the complete colors of my chapters
Yeah.
was done by me,
Okay.
and the rest was done by an assistant
Oh, okay,
who
gotcha.
helped me complete the process because it's too much work. It's difficult.
Like in manga.
It's possible. Yes, it's possible, but it's difficult in terms of time. It takes much time.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you
Did
for
you hear the
clarifying.
music before
Yes.
illustrating or after?
Yes, it's
before.
not before.
So, how does the music change your original idea for how you draw it?
Well, I forced myself to first. I had the script,
Right.
which had clear instructions.
Sure.
But I wanted to first hear the music, listen to the music,
Right.
to be sure that I wasn't projecting my own ideas about the tone and the emotions of it. Because a script is very cold. It's just a set of instructions.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might explain some things, like this happens and this character is suffering, or this is going on.
Sure.
But it's got nothing
not
to
art.
do. No, it's got nothing to. A writer would feel very hurt by that comment.
But it's true.
It is art. I mean, writing is art.
Yeah, but it's not visual art.
But the
Yeah,
music,
yeah.
but the music provides the emotional texture
Sure,
and
sure.
the weight and the taste of it, so to speak, in general terms.
Sure.
So I prefer to first listen to the music.
Okay.
Bear's music is very specific,
Very.
in your face,
Yes.
very intense, very epic, and so I first heard that, and then said, "Oh, I have an idea what this is. I mean, I don't have to read the story. I clearly know what's going on."
Sure.
And then when I read the story, it was pretty obvious along which lines was the story going to go.
Okay.
So that was the way that I approached the story.
Right.
Before drawing.
Sure. Nice.
I hope I've been clear. I'm sorry. It's,
No,
English is
100%.
not
No.
English
No, you're
is not
fine.
my language, and I'm trying to like sure. First think of things, then translate them, then speak them.
Yeah.
It's a difficult process.
I can listen to you all day.
Really?
I love yes, I love accents. So.
Thank you.
Spanglish.
No, it's
Sorry,
better.
my family's
It's
from
better.
Mexico, but I think it's totally different anyway.
Yes. I think it's better to just do one or the other. In between, it's very complicated.
Yeah.
Now, was this the first time you worked with Bear and
Yes,
his music?
Yes, it's our first collaboration, and I didn't meet him. Actually, I met him today.
Oh.
Oh,
Personally. Believe it or not, it's not something uncommon on our field of work.
It's totally normal, actually. Yeah.
I live one full continent away from here, so I'm used to working with people from a distance. And so it's a different type of communication. It's been normal for me to work with people for years, 4 years, 5 years, before getting to know them personally.
Sure.
And in this case, it wasn't so long because we were working with Bear on this since last year. But today I got to know him personally. So and it turns out he's a great guy, of course.
Sure.
I had no doubts about it. But it's kind of an intense ride for me.
Right.
To do all this.
Did you have any preconceived ideas of I'm gonna go this direction, and then when you heard the music, you're like, that's not gonna work. I totally changed my mind.
That's why I first chose to hear the music before doing any actual
Right.
Because he explained to me, no, this is a story about a creature that is tortured by these machines,
yeah,
and this and this and that.
Yeah.
And I immediately, like most artists, that brings images instantly to your mind.
Sure, yeah.
But I prefer to listen to the music
Yeah.
just to be sure exactly what he meant.
Right.
Because it could be like a very mellow and melancholy sort of thing, like, or in this case, super rough, violent,
Sure.
intense story, like what it actually
Absolutely,
sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
I cannot draw it like some morose, slow, depressing story if it actually sounds like a tank breaking through a wall.
Yeah.
It's different.
How do you create that music on the page?
That's difficult. It's hard to explain because it's so very abstract. I don't know if it happens to you, but when you're listening to music, sometimes you get goosebumps because certain parts evoke feelings in you. In the case of us people who do images for a living, who create images or write stories, we always get to a point from those type of emotions. But those are abstract. I cannot say that listening to a song will produce a specific image in my mind. It will produce an approximation to an image, or a feeling of an image, an evocation, so to speak. And my job as an artist is to try to take that from my head, which is a mixture of abstract things, and turn it into an actual image that resembles what I originally intended. It's like that. It's an intent of doing something, not an image, an intent of an image. And experience helps you with the years to better translate that intent into an actual image. When you're first starting, you try many things. Many times you hit it, many times you don't. But with years and practice, you start like developing and getting to a more personal language that works better.
I like the Pollock technique, so, you know.
The what?
The Pollock technique, the throw paint.
Okay, see what's fit.
He got to that point, but he got to that point after a very long process
I
of
know,
trying different things,
yeah.
and it's very interesting because it was kind of like
Classically trained.
yeah, it's not like he couldn't do another thing. It's just like the guy had to connect differently with the language.
Yeah,
It worked better for him.
they're like Mondrian too.
Is this the first time that you've had a chance to work on a project like this that kind of uses two mediums, so like music and
Honestly,
like stories?
I think it was the first time for all of us involved because it's the first time that an album is created to be done in companion with a graphic novel. And in that sense, yes, it was the first time for us. We had no previous experience in doing this. Most of us were adapting stories, adapting text, adapting film or other sort of sources for us. But it was the first time that we got to do a comic book based on a double script and album as leading the plot. It's difficult. It's a double plot. It's a musical plot and literary plot, so to speak. It's very difficult, but fun.
Yeah.
Now, being an artist, after you listened to Bear's music, did you see what you wanted on the paper, or did you just draw it first?
This is linked to what I was saying before. You never had exact images in your mind. You think you have, but you actually don't. It's abstract. So you don't have like exact pictures in your mind. You have ideas of what you would like to see on it, like very vague ideas that you feel are quite clear, but they only became clear when you see them on paper, and if they came close to what you wanted to do or not. If they're not, you just scrap it and do it like I do. You do it again until it resembles what you wanted to do, not what you thought you would. An actual image.
Basically, you feel happy with it,
Yes.
excited about it and stuff.
Yes, and in that sense, also, there was a script that described images. Like, this is a general view of a large apocalyptic scenery, like this and this and that. That's a script. And then the music sounds like that also, but it also includes more information. Then, with that in mind, you create images as closest as you can to what the general feeling is, or where the story is going from that point.
Great. Well, thank you. I think we're done.
Taking
Thank you.
Rhea, Hello, you've got
Could I trouble you?
probably
to just put
7 or
this
8
mic
minutes.
on?
But
You don't
Okay.
mind?
Enjoy.
Thank you.
You don't know who she is.
Just a lav, so wherever you feel comfortable. Yep. Thank you.
That singing voiceover Outlander that makes you
This is her.
rise up.
All right, first you all have to watch a video of my baby and my cat.
Aww.
Of course.
It's like very cute.
Okay, they both are adorable.
They're both adorable. Oh, they're so sweet together. Okay.
I love kids and I love cats, so there you go.
Love it. Thank you for sharing.
Did I turn this off? No, okay.
That's okay, you keep playing it.
If you don't mind, I'm going to start with an Outlander question.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, are you
providing? Are we going to hear your beautiful voice in season 8, final season?
Oh, I'll be in there somewhere.
Okay.
Definitely. Or heads will roll.
What about the prequel? Are you guys involved in that?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I don't know. That's not even a lie. I really don't know. I know that that's happening.
That's totally fine.
it.
Can you just talk to me about, being part of the Outlander family and in the world, and what it's like when Outlander fans recognize you?
Outlander fans are kind of the best, and like I've been privileged to be a part of a few different fandoms, a few different shows and things, and like whenever people are appreciative, it's just beautiful because you're all sharing in a story together. You're all sharing in the love of like a particular thing together. But Outlander fans are just particularly outgoing and supportive and sincere. And a lot of them started coming to my own shows. And it doesn't always translate like that, because when I'm doing my own shows, I'm just doing my own music. And like sometimes I might sing the Skyboat song, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the show. So it's just like it's really special, and it really touches me when people from that show care about me outside of it, So that's been really lovely. And also the fandom is just like quirky as all get out. Like people get so into it. Like they're like the knitcore people are like super into like super into like the scarves and the all that. And like people like remake their whole kitchen. And like there are these wonderful people. What is it called? I think it's called like the Unicorn Experience. It's an Instagram account, and they're based in Scotland. And like basically they're this like ranch, and like they have these mini horses, but they make them into unicorns. And like these are the friends I have now. Like people who have mini unicorns in Scotland.
Sounds
I
wonderful.
I think those would be my friends, but I'm so happy
Why
they
not?
are.
Why not? If the group doesn't mind, can I ask one more
Yeah,
question?
sure.
I'll
Could do
hand it to
worse.
you guys.
Oh, so much.
Yeah. Is there like, other than the obvious of like being on stage or like recording for a show, but is there like a big difference in the way you perform when you're recording either for an album or for the Singularity versus a show like Outlander?
So like in studio work versus live work,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, when live is my favorite because I love interacting with an audience. I love being in the moment. It's kind of like there's a scariness to the fact that you do it and then it's not. You can't go back and do it again. So any mistake is now energy. it's now a place to leap into the next thing you're gonna do. And that dynamic sense, that kind of teetering on the edge sense is what makes everything so present and so real. And it's so wonderful to get energy from the audience, and then you give it right back. And you just kind of trade energy through the course of the show, and like that's why live is just the best thing. But then recording is an entirely different animal because you think, okay, this is something I'm crafting. It's like baking, It's like I'm gonna decide exactly what ingredients I want to go into this vocal, into this arrangement, into my harmony, and I'm gonna listen back, and you get to just like create this thing that only exists in the land of recording because it's impossible to have that live, and it's two entirely different creations, and they're both wonderful because when you have a recording, it's like, oh great, this exists now. I can show people what this song is. But then when you do it live, it only happens that way once, and that's beautiful too.
Two very interesting approaches. Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
Been challenged with given the project, you start automatically visualizing what it's going to sound like, but then the instructions from directors and everybody else are completely opposite, and you're now forced to do it differently. And as an artist, you're like, I don't want to do it that way, but you did.
Yeah. I mean, especially that happens more in that happens when you're acting because you're thinking, I know what this character is going to do, and then someone's like, no, that is not what we think.
That's not it. Yep.
And then it's like, wow, there goes that preparation work. But that's kind of good actually, because then you have to renew, then you have to be in the moment to kind of rediscover it.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes it's annoying, especially if you thought you had a good thing going, and then it turns into something else. Kind of recently, and I can't get into this too much, but I was doing a thing for Rings of Power.
Unnamed project.
Yeah, no, I can say Rings of Power. I can say
Okay, fair enough.
Can I talk? There's no reason not to talk about it.
Yeah, go for it.
Tell us all your secrets.
Yes.
I will tell you none of them, but I will suggest them. Anyway, I was doing a thing for that show, and I came in knowing very much the way I was going to sing something, and then there was a person there who had to. Can I say this?
What
Yes.
theme?
What?
Change your mind.
Had to mention something in a dialect direction, which completely had to change my interpretation.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
And it ended up being cooler. It ended up being much more interesting than what I had planned. But it also was more work. And I was like, darn it, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It was still a fun experience.
Wait, were you on the soundtrack?
I feel like there's lots of soundtrack tracks.
But the one that for Rings of Power season 2 that they released like a little over a year ago, we got like that little clip.
I don't think so.
Okay. I just for my little,
I don't think I'm involved in that particular thing. Yeah. But then again, sometimes it's funny, like, I've worked with Bear on so many projects, and like, there's some places where I'm featured as a soloist, a lead vocalist, and there's some places where my voice is used more texturally. And sometimes I don't always know where that ends up. So if you ask me if I'm on a track, I'm like, maybe.
And that is the craziness of Bear's brain, but that's what makes him really good.
Yeah, no, sometimes it's really interesting because sometimes I'm a vocalist and sometimes I'm an instrument.
Right.
And there's like, it's fun both ways. It's always an interesting exploration.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Do you approach it differently if you know whether you're going to be a vocalist or more like an instrumental, or just like giving like sound or depth to the track?
Yeah. Oh, I always know.
Okay.
What's being asked, and it's funny because I've been working with Bear for so long that he knows what my vocal range is. He knows what I can do, and he likes to use all of the tools. So basically, if he knows my vocal range, I have a wide vocal range, but that doesn't mean it's easy to access all the time.
Sure.
But he's like, why don't you go from the lowest note to the highest note, hold that for about 10 minutes, but make sure you don't get loud. Not literally, but that's kind of what it is. It's like, give me an airy pitch, but also don't make it loud, no vibrato, and then hit the vibrato at the end and take the volume from 1 to 10 in the last 5 seconds. How does that sound? And the crazy thing is he gets me to do it.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing he's ever asked you to do?
Raise children.
Fair.
But after that, nothing's really hard. But no, the hardest thing vocally, I feel like back in the Battlestar days, I was singing in so many different languages, and sometimes there would be notes from the producers or something like last minute that like, oh, this needs to change or this needs to change. So we needed to, in the studio on the day we're supposed to be recording, we had to change lyrics, or we had to install lyrics on a melody. And so I'm like, okay, great. So now I'm singing in Hindi, which is new, and then tomorrow I'm singing in Latin, and then the next day I'm singing in back to English again. And so I kind of didn't really know what was going to hit me at any particular time. And I think that's the hardest challenge, was that nothing was ever the same. Things change so often, but that's what it is in the film world, because you're scoring to picture, and you're scoring a journey. There's so many different emotional parts of the journey, and the music has to match that. And so you're this vocal character, and then you're that vocal character, and you just kind of have to roll with it,
Would you say you thrive in an environment like that?
Well, it keeps you on your toes. Yeah, you thrive as long as there's snacks.
Did you and Bear know each other before? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, before you started a relationship, like were you working together first?
first. Yeah, well, we went to music school together. We went to college together.
Where at?
At USC Music School. Yeah. And so we weren't together during that time, but we did work together. Like he was already doing like student films and stuff like that, and so he would hire me to sing on those films, like back in the day. Like this is a long time ago. But yeah, he would hire me to do like sometimes they were like class assignments. He'd be like, "Ray, come sing this thing." Like, all right. You know, but it would be years until things were different.
Is there a movie that you love that you would absolutely want to re-record one of the songs in your voice that to you would improve the process?
Oh well, I don't know if,
without taking away from the original talent.
just any movie at all throughout time.
Yeah.
You know, I've always wanted to do a version of this one song from Labyrinth. What is it called? I forget. As the World Falls.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I've never covered that, but I've thought of it. Now that song can't be improved. I would not.
No, but
improve
yeah,
it,
but
I would just be doing
put your stamp on it.
Doing another interpretation.
Yeah.
No, there's no improving that song, but there is
Fair enough.
alternate interpretation.
Sure.
So that would be fun to cover.
I'm going to pull you one more time.
I'm being told.
You're being pulled. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Just one more question.
I got these on an Etsy store from like the artist. I like getting things from artists. So that was like, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
A better answer.
No, but I like that answer anyway.
The Venom